Hey all. So at this point you might be like, why is she still wearing the same dress? But clearly because I'm doing them all at the same time because I've been hit with inspiration, which is always great. And I want to talk about how I got into, not how I got into, how I created the Purpose Passion Project, which I just call PPP. So I love how I can say it and it doesn't like tongue tie me anymore. But let's see, I was doing my study in hypnotherapy and I had like all these ideas, which I still have like all these ideas that I want to like make, I want to use to make Mellow Vibes grow. Like I'm getting so excited I can't even speak. And so I was just like, I want to work on, because Mellow Vibes to me has always, I may not have been able to articulate it as well in the beginning, but I knew it was, because when I started Mellow Vibes, it was about travel, like just travel. But even then I was like, but it's more than travel, and I couldn't explain that. But the thing is, everything on Mellow Vibes is about like everything that contributes to your actualization, to you fully living out your purpose. So I was like, how can I create something that's going to be like people who are confused, because there's so many people who seem confused about like what they're supposed to be doing. I was like, how can I create something for that, where one, where it's gonna lead you more to your purpose, but also like help you to do things that you're passionate about, and that doesn't have to be the thing that is your purpose, or doesn't have to be the thing that you do as a job or a career or whatever. I wanted it to be like you discover your purpose, but you also discover other things that make you happy that you can be doing. Because and that came from me having a conversation with my cousin, like I said earlier, who's my best friend, and she was saying that she would be in relationships and use that person as their emotional outlet. And I was just like, well, that's not really fair. One, and like, what happened to you dancing? Because she was always like in dance class and all that stuff. And I'm like, what happened to the dancing? What happened to this? Like, you can't rely on somebody to be your emotional outlet, and you don't have like a physical like act that gets things out when you're frustrated. And so, because for me, like, I write or I sing or I will drum, especially like drumming when you're just banging things, like that's great. And I realized that, adults really don't have spaces where they have, or they don't allow themselves to have spaces to let stuff out. A lot of the time they just focus on work, and then they just focus on being a parent. And it's like, well, what are you doing to get out all this stuff? And so I wanted to, make something that would remind you of what you love and what brings you happiness, what brings you to a place of freedom within yourself. So that's where that came from, and I started calling it the Emotional Outlet Package. And so I was like, and I had, already drafted like a bunch of questions that I wanted, included in this workbook, and I knew it was gonna be a workbook. And so I was like, I had drafted a bunch of questions that I felt would get to like the core of, who you are and what helps you to release things, and then also what helps you, like what you feel you could be doing, also for your livelihood. Like I'm all about like soulpreneurship. I talk about that, like who you are. Like soulpreneurship is bridging that gap between who you are and what you do. Because I always hated that question. Oh, what do you do? And like that's like always the first question like adults ask. And I'm like, but you're not even asking me about who I am. You're asking me what I do, which is not the same thing. And the thing is, it should be. So so that's what I wanted, I wanted to cover in this emotional outlet package. And then I was just like, well, if it's covering these things, it's not just about emotional outlets. So it's about your purpose and your emotional outlets, or your purpose and your passions. And your purpose can be your passion, and it should be your passion, but there are other passions that don't, that don't always necessarily go with what you're doing in your life. It's just like, I like to dance, but that doesn't make me a dancer, and that's not my purpose. Although I have fooled a lot of people into thinking that I'm a professional dancer, for real, but that's not me. So, but like that's a great outlet for me. I am, somewhat passionate about dancing, but that doesn't make it my purpose. So if you want a distinction, there is one right there. But so I was already developing this, and then probably a month later, or something like that, maybe a month or so later, because I had finished up hypnotherapy, and I was like, my hypnotherapy training, and I was going into the life coaching training, which is so funny that I did that second because, well, not really, because I had been in hypnosis since I was a kid. So anyway, so I got into the life coaching training, and then somewhere in that, the teacher brought up this passion and purpose workbook, and I was just like, why does this seem like it's gonna be something that I'm already working on? And I went through it, and I was just like, this is exactly what I'm already doing. And so like it covered most of the questions that I had already been forming, and then some. So I was just like, well then. And so the teacher was like, well, for every, resource that, we got in the coaching program, it was like, you can use this for, whatever you want, use this, use it, brand it, give it to your clients, sell it, whatever. They're just like, use it for whatever you want. So like I edited it. I added in the questions that I felt were important that weren't covered. And so that's why I say, like, on the page where you can learn more about like what you get in the Purpose Passion Project, it is like, I say created along with other psychologists, or because it was from the School of Modern Applied Psychology. So that's why I say created with other whatever, like industry professionals or whatever it was, there other industry psychologists or something, because it's like it was a collaborative thing. It was like something I was already working towards, and then they just like gave it to me, and then I just made it like, whatever else I wanted to say with that. And it was so crazy. Like, it was just so, like, not even, because it's just like divine timing. So it made it like just simpler. But also like I added stuff like I'm sorry, I'm like looking at squirrels like rumble around. And so that is the Purpose Passion Project. So if you are working with me as a coaching client, then you'll probably get it somewhere probably around session, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that. But I also just wanted it to be a separate thing because I think it's just valuable on its own. So if you are not somebody who's going to go through like, coaching with me or whatever, like this is like great. Like even me who like, I've known my purpose for a while, for a long time. Even me going through the questions that I had formed, and obviously going through all the questions that were also included and given to me, I was just like, dag, like this made me a little bit even clearer on other things that I can, like, there's strategy that's also involved in this workbook, which is what I appreciate. It allows me to think about like, what else can I be doing right now? And so still valuable, even if you already know your purpose, still a valuable workbook to go through. And then also the Purpose Passion Project. So there's other things that I involve in it, and that is the purpose hypnosis, and that includes a hypnosis and a certain hypnotherapy technique called future pacing that is in there. So that's something that you could get separately on Mellow Vibes, but it is included in the Purpose Passion Project. And the I added the magnetism hypnosis, which is, you can literally only get it in the Purpose Passion Project, and it's so cool. Like I did put it in when I had my Facebook group, which I have archived now. I did put it out there on my Facebook group for like 2 days, I think, and got really great feedback on it. And so that's in there as well. And then I have like just like an intro and outro video and whatever. So yeah, that is the Purpose Passion Project. That's how it came to be. And I'm sorry, I try to keep these videos like 5 minutes, but like this is like 9. But that's how that happened. It was just like divine timing. A lot of everything that happened in 2019 was like divine timing. So yeah, so that's how that came to be. And so I'm like super proud of that. And I'm super proud of the confirmation that I was asking the right questions, because like I said, almost every question that I had already formed was on that list already, in that workbook. And then I probably just added 2 or 3 more, I think. So yeah. So anyway, check it out, read up about it. Like, I think it's going to be something that's super valuable to you, and it's so like inexpensive too. So yeah, so peace and mellow vibes. See y'all later.